Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Martinez. I'm going to be sharing tips on how to prepare and conduct a family conference. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you want to do is get to know your families. I'm a second grade teacher in this imaginary scenario, and we have two families. In this instance, I created a profile for each family so that it could give everybody a better understanding of how to prepare for different types of families. All families are different shapes, sizes, and they come in a variety pack sometimes. So you have to be able to plan accordingly for each family. In this case, our families are very diverse and they come from multicultural background. For instance, family number one is a student who's in a single parent home. They This is the scenario that I created. They live with their mom. They moved from Central America, and they've been in the U.S. for almost 2 years. They speak mostly Spanish in the home, and mom can kind of get away with a little bit of English, but she still struggles. And the transition alone of moving is still something that's difficult for them. Family number two is similar to my first family. However, this is a single parent home again, but this is a father and he works nights. He's just as interested as the mom in my first family to help their student perform better in school and be able to understand a lot more of the material in class and whatnot. However, they're both estranged to the process of Western schooling, so they're just trying to transition and navigate through through those channels as well as their student. The father in my second family, he works at night, so he spends most of his morning sleeping. He's very tired, but like I said, he's very interested in being able to know how to best help their student. So what you want to do to begin this conference is to set up a time and a place to best meet with them. Something you can try to do to accommodate every family is to provide a Zoom link or a Zoom conference. Sometimes parents have to work longer days or they might be short staffed at their job, and you want to make sure you're able to accommodate every family. The next thing that you want to do is decide what type of conference you want to have, whether you want to have a student-led conference, a three-way conference, or parent group meeting type of conference. Do you want to include the student in your conference? And if so, you want to make sure that you're providing opportunities for that student to be able to give their own input, to have personal involvement, to be able to be included in the goal setting process and the planning process. And you also want to make sure that beforehand you explain the expectations of the student in the meeting. If at some point a student gets bored or anything like that, make sure that you also plan ahead and bring an activity or something that the child or the student can do while the parents and yourself are talking. The next thing you want to do is schedule a translator. So you have families, these two families, Brazilian and Spanish. Um, you want to make sure you have a Spanish translator. You want to make sure that you have a translator who speaks Portuguese. And these two translators are also going to be helpful if you want to make sure that these families understand or can interpret the data that you're going to be bringing to the meeting. You also want to make sure that you are collecting as much data as you can for this meeting. If you are and by collecting data, I mean assessments, assessment scores, work samplings, writing samples, anything that you feel is going to be necessary in order to include in that portfolio. You want to make sure that you are coming prepared to the meeting, that if parents have questions and you have something at the ready for them to be able to have visuals. Visuals are always very important. And with families that have another language as their primary language, you definitely want to make sure that there is something visible for them. It gives them a sense of understanding, being able to grasp what's happening. And given that they already come from a pretty rough background, they're still transitioning and adjusting to a new country and learning to navigate the fast paced world of living in the US. So you want to make things as easy as possible for them. And if this means being able to know ahead of time how to best interpret that information for them, then by all means, it's very doable. Okay, so it's the big day. It's the day of our conference. And one of the first things that we want to do is make sure that our families feel comfortable, that the environment that we are in is relaxing enough for them, that they don't feel overwhelmed, overstimulated, understimulated, and we want to make sure that those translators are present the day of, whether it's for family number one or for family number two. We want to make sure that everything is ready for them. You want to start off with positive remarks and most definitely end with positive remarks, almost like a sandwich. The middle is that important piece of the sandwich, the meat, the nitty gritty of it all, the meat and potatoes of it all. But always start with the positive and end with the positive. You never want to make any family feel judged. You never want to criticize. You never want to make families feel misunderstood or judged in any way. You want to have families feel understood. You want to be empathetic because they are a family who speak another language and are immigrants essentially to our country, and they already feel out of place as is and are trying to figure out where they fit in the world and in this fast-paced environment. Um, so make sure that they feel as comfortable as possible and not out of place in your classroom. The other thing that you want to do is make sure that if you have, excuse me, make sure to choose, if you have chosen to include the student in the activity, in the meeting, sorry, make sure there is an activity for them, like I said before. Make sure that they are part of the process. Give the student opportunities to give their input, give the student opportunities to set their own goals and explain to them or ask them, better yet, what they expect out of the classroom, what they expect out of you. Also encourage the families to be part of the goal setting and planning process. It is a conference and you're there to set goals to figure out how to best help that student. So you want to make sure that everybody is working together. Um, Take your time, pace yourself. You never want to rush, and you always want to make sure that because there aren't translators there present, never want to go too fast. Pace yourself so that everybody has time to process the information that is being delivered. And lastly, make sure that you ask families if there's any additional information that they would like to add so that it best helps you in the classroom. Ultimately, you want to help the student. Okay, family involvement. This is really cool because you want to make sure that the family is a part of the process entirely. Okay, so we've discussed that. Encourage families to ask questions. Encourage families to tell you if going forward, establish how you want to communicate. Um, like I said, make sure that there are any devices or any assistive devices for families too. Um, if the family needs an auditory assistive device, if they need something in larger print, make sure that you're also providing those things for families. Do they have questions? And like I said, you never want a family to leave feeling misunderstood, judged, or criticized in any way. Every family is different. Every circumstance is different. And when it comes to diverse families like these, it's very easy to already feel the weight of the world on top of their shoulders. So you want to make the transition and the process of this conference as smooth as possible for them. If there are any handouts or anything, any copies that you want to hand out to them, make sure to go the extra mile. Try to have it printed in their language or translated in their language. It's not as difficult as you think. If you want to upload it to Microsoft Word or anything like that, you can always translate the document itself. Make copies of the goals that you set as a group at conference time, and make sure that everybody is aware of their role and the role that they play in this meeting. Lastly, if they want to add anything, like I said, it's probably the best time to do so, so that you know what to do going forward with the student and how to best help them. I hope that this informative video was helpful, and see you at our next conference.